This is episode 334, recorded, no joke, April 1st, 2016. Packard pokes at Guardians of Jupiter's Booty Beefy Sanctuary. I want to thank Seawalker from the chat room for this week's show title.
What time is it? It's Packard pokes at time. Hat? Check. Shirt? Check. Pants? Optional. Mug? Double check. Check us out at cafepress.com/PackardPokesAt where you can get all this great merchandise and more.
Do you like Packard Pokesat and want to hear it on demand and on the go? Download the free app today at Stitcher.com. Available on iOS, Android, Nook, and iPad.
This is Packard Pokesat, and I'm poking at your news. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another fine edition of Packard Pokesat. I am your immutable and unmutable host, Packard Sonic. And joining me from the far west coast is Connie, Practical Magic 9.
I'm Connie, Practical Magic 9. No, I'm not. April Fool. There we go. We got it out of the way. I'm not really good with practical jokes. Could you guess?
I've never been a real big fan of them myself. I make jokes. I make jokes all the time, though. So, for me, April Fool's is every day.
The only way that I find that kind of stuff is funny is that I'm generally, a pretty trustworthy person. And so when I actually do something, people don't suspect me. That's kind of so, yeah.
Well, there is no joke that we are actually doing this on April 1st, and we are still on the air, surprisingly enough. But before we get started, I wanted to say to Paul Torville from News Undies, he put out his last show today, and I'm going to miss him. I liked his show, and
Yes.
I hope that Paul will graciously take my invitation to join us here on the show on Packard Pokesat. So if you are familiar with Paul Torville's work, go and pester him and say, join Packard Pokesat.
Yes, Paul. It's always a pleasure to talk to you and your wit and your wisdom. And it's like, yeah, we'll do the heavy lifting, right?
Yeah,
you just
show up. You just show up, just talk. That's all you got to do.
The internets need you, Paul.
Yes, the internet definitely needs you.
Yes.
And we need you here. So just come on down to Packard Pokesat Studios at
Beautiful downtown Wisconsin.
beautiful downtown Wisconsin. Makes it sound like Wisconsin is about the size of a room.
That's the funny thing. Paul could make a really funny commercial for that too. He had those great commercials on his shows too.
Yes, he did.
Oh shoot.
There's a lot of talk with Donald Trump, and he's being a real dickhead, which for Donald Trump is not a hard stretch. I mean, if you've heard his recent comments about how women should be punished for getting abortions or whatever, and then he kind of walks it back because everybody in both parties, his own and the Democrats, have been coming down on him saying that why should women get punished about this. It's like, oh, no. It shouldn't be the women that should get punished, the doctors. Of course, Ted Cruz takes a whole different stance, saying the doctors should be killed. He actually said this, the doctors should be killed if they perform abortions. And while all this nonsense is going on, because the public spotlight is not on him, over in Indiana, the governor over there is
Mike Pence.
Mike Pence, yeah. Now, here's another dickhead, and he does look like a shaved dick. I'm just saying. He looks. I should say.
Sounds painful.
I should say he looks like a circumcised dick.
Okay.
And this guy here, he has put through a House Bill 1337, which got approved by the Indiana legislature, roughly the same time the Trump supporters decided to lash out against all the protesters.
Sorry. I still have my Drumpf app.
You still got your
all the articles come up with Drumpf instead of Trump.
Now, the thing is here, he's put out a very bad anti-abortion bill. It's basically the Jim Crow law of abortion bills. It makes it very difficult, not illegal, but really difficult to have a safe and legal abortion in his state. And it says here that the woman required to undergo the procedure must also pay for the burial or cremation of the fetus, and it goes without saying that the law is, in addition, financial and disincentive to having an abortion. So basically, if the woman gets an abortion and has a clump of cells, no bigger than the size of a pencil head, or the eraser of a pencil, you have to have a full-blown funeral for this. The average funeral costs between $5,000 and $10,000, and they don't take payments over this. And this is completely nonsense. And not only that, the House bill also says here, it also prohibits a person from performing an abortion if the person knows that the woman is pregnant who's seeking the abortion solely because of the race, color, national origin, ancestry, or sex of the fetus.
Yeah.
And the other one is, or a diagnosis or potential diagnosis of the fetus having Down syndrome or other disability. If a woman does not want to have a baby because the baby might have Down syndrome or have some kind of other deformity, I think that is well within their choice, because I'm going to try to put this the best way I possibly can here, okay? People who have disabilities take extra special attention. Some people just do not have the financial means to do that. I'm not saying that these people should be cast off just because of that reason. I'm saying that some people, if they choose to do that for that reason, because of the financial hardships it would cause them, just having children is a financial hardship in itself. So this is total bullshit. Connie, your thoughts?
Well, again, we keep saying women, but women and men. Even if a married couple decided that they didn't want to have a child, born with a disability, and that sound and they make it sound so cruel, but it's like, well, living with a disability is a huge responsibility beyond your own lifespan. I have friends who have children who, they're not Down syndrome, but they were sometimes a forceps birth where they have limited mental capacity.
Yeah.
And it's a lifelong thing. And guess what? You die, and they still have to be taken care of. They wind up being functioning adults a lot of times, and who's going to take care of them? And I Godless Geezer just pointed out, I did not know this in the comment section.
Mm-hmm.
The main reason for getting an abortion for Down syndrome is that the kid is born without an esophagus.
That would suck.
I did not know that.
I was not aware of that one myself. That's a good point.
It's like equate, and as far as the whole disability thing, I feel like it's trying to equate that, well, you just don't want a kid with a disability. And granted, it's a huge financial and emotional responsibility.
Oh, absolutely.
A lot longer, but at the same time,
I've known several
a child into the world who has fewer chances.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I know several people who have had children who have similar mental handicaps like this, the Down syndrome type thing there, right. And they don't live with their parents anymore because the child has become so difficult, and they need special attention, and they have to go to like a state school, and they have to travel great distances just to go and see this child who's literally being in another part of the state, or sometimes in a whole other state. These parents, they feel obligated to go and visit these children, and I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that, because of that, there's more they have a higher obligation to fork over more money to have these children taken care of. Not to mention that they have to get, like when parents get divorced, for example, one parent gets the children usually, and one has to pay child support to the parent. Those people are paying child support to the state, which,
right?
It kind of makes sense. I mean, not that the state has vast resources anyway. But I mean, these people are because they're taking care of their children. They have to pay child support to them, and they get little extra. They don't get just what you would get down at the courthouse. They get a little extra because they're a state institution.
This is such a ridiculous law that they're proposing. And again, like you said, either cremation or interment of a fetus. And it's also, it's interesting because the trap laws have closed most of the clinics in Indiana. Only 4 of 92 are still open. And there's another little proviso in this thing. It requires a fetal ultrasound prior to the abortion of 18 hours.
Yeah, I saw that.
And so somebody has to not only travel, most people would have to travel to this clinic, but they'd have to get a hotel, they'd have to make a whole weekend of this wonderful journey, which again, even if you're somebody who says, I'm not ready to have a child, that's an extremely heartrending, emotional decision to have to make.
It really is.
They make it sound like, oh, I'm just happy to be, doing this. And guess what? It again, like you said, it's like, what are you burying? What is somebody burying at that point too? It's like
you're burying a clump of cells. I can go to the backyard
exactly.
I can go to the backyard, dig a small hole, and it'd be the equivalency of the difference between that.
Our feelings about this are something so much separate to our ability to become a parent, and that is what I wish we could differentiate. For people who are already, again, if you're a young person and you're in love and you just accidentally get pregnant, or you're a couple and you're not ready to have kids, or you've been raped or molested or any other, which those are provisos they have for but guess what? The rape victims and the incest victims and the threats to the mom's lives, guess what? They still have to listen to that fetal heartbeat.
Yeah.
They still have to do that.
Yeah.
They have to do that.
Yeah, the thing is...
What?
Yeah, the thing is, though, when they hit the heartbeat that they say that this thing has, you can have a heartbeat and still have... It's still no bigger than the size of a pencil head, or the eraser on the pencil at that point. Because,
there's the size of Governor Pence's mind.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to keep it, that's up to you. It should be your choice. I just had a discussion on Google on one of some YouTube video just the other day. This guy is saying, yeah, women should have a choice, but as soon as you say the word "but," you're telling me that they should not have a choice. And then he went on to say, oh well, how this person should not be able to do this because it's because of this baby or whatever. It's going to be alive. It's a life form or whatever. So what? Cancer and viruses are also life forms, if you want to really put it in that terms.
Godless Geezer just pointed out another main reason for third trimester abortions is the fetus is missing part of its brain.
Yeah.
Responsible for thinking.
Yeah.
And
I brought this up. I brought this up to a street preacher one time.
It's merciful.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I brought this up to a street preacher a couple years ago. I said, well, what if the child's born without a brain? And there was actually some other fucking turkey he'd showed up. He goes, so what? It's like, so you're going to make somebody be born, doesn't have a functioning brain? What's the point of fucking life just to be alive? I mean, there's no life there otherwise. I mean, this person or this thing is not going to have a life. It's not going to be able to live on its own at all. And he's like, so what?
Well,
when you
until they have to be the one, not just, I don't want to say just responsible, but it is responsible, but who cares about this being that they feel responsible for the being that they brought into this world, and how are they going to, how is this going to happen, and how can I care for this child, and how can I have a life?
Yeah, not only that, in these situations, this is not something else they don't consider. Parents, generally, for the most part, don't outlive their children, okay? So what happens when this person who's been taking care of them, all the money that they've had, that they've gone to take care of these children is gone because the parent has passed away, or if the person, or the parent doesn't have the resources or whatever, or has taken off. I mean, what does happen to this child afterwards? I mean,
and actually, that's something else I've heard too with parents who have a debilitated child for whatever reason. Those marriages are so strained.
Yes.
And the children and the other children in the family, if there are any, they it is this whole dynamic of the child who has the debilitating disease or condition gets so much of the attention. It's very lopsided.
Yes.
Granted, people can manage that, but it takes a very special person, I think, to be able to be sensitive enough to manage
absolutely.
it. I don't know.
If you're willing to take on the financial responsibility and you can have the means, hey, I'm not going to stop you. I'm just saying, there are other options. And you don't necessarily have to take on those options. I mean, if you don't want to. And you shouldn't have to be forced to it.
Well, the GOP is still way more concerned about babies that they can't see than they are babies they can.
Right, exactly.
And so Governor Pence, Governor Mike Pence, you know what? For some reason, I wrote down Harry Dick. I don't know what it was you said that made me think of Harry Dick, but I'm like, oh, you're talking about shape. He looks like a Harry Dick, and I'm like, so he's Harry Dick.
Yeah,
right?
He's Harry Dick.
Governor Harry Dick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody wants a Harry Dick. No. No. That's not what I think about when I think about having relations with somebody. No Harry Dicks.
Right.
Anyway, sorry.
Building a better future, science and technology.
We have a gigantic vacuum cleaner in our solar system. It's called Jupiter.
Donald Trump? Shoot. Sorry.
No, that would be a black hole.
Okay. With a toupee.
With a toupee. One of the things is that Jupiter's been very good at, I mean, since it's kind of a failed star, because of out by the asteroid belt where it's located at, it has a tendency, because of its size, the gravitational pull sucks in everything that's kind of flying by, kind of loose, doesn't know where it's going. It's like, oh, I'm just floating through. It's like, oh, and it's gone. And it gets sucked right in.
And it sucks.
And it sucks. That Jupiter really sucks. Recently, just past March 17th, an amateur astronomer was videotaping Jupiter because we have the technology to do that. But while he was taping this, or recording this, I should say, I'm going to stop using the word tape. It's this old, outdated fucking thing there. Nobody uses tape anymore!
How 80s of you.
Oh, I know. No one uses fucking tape anymore. Ugh. Anyway, while he was recording...
pants.
Break it down. No. While he was recording Jupiter, to watch the phases, which is kind of interesting, he happened to catch something hitting the planet. It was quite large. It was just a quick flash. The fact that it made any large impact like that is astounding. Judging by this, I mean, just what little bit I know about size of the Earth and whatever, the biggest flash on this thing here, it would probably be something Earth-sized. I mean, close to it anyway. Maybe it might not. It might be half the Earth size. It might have just been a rogue comet, or it might have been a regular asteroid that hit the planet. We don't know because it happened so fast and it was completely unexpected. Connie, your thoughts?
You say rogue, and I'm like, roll 20. Roll the A-side to die for crit damage. It's actually it's amazing because the telescope. There we go.
Yes,
the telescope he was using is a Skywalker Newton 200 by 100, which means nothing to me because I just don't understand. I just know you look through the little light thing, the little lens thing, and you see stuff. Which costs between $370 to $750 depending upon which model you buy.
Right.
And some guy, an amateur astronomer. Thank you, Paul Marshall.
Yeah, he wanted me to say astronomer too, because apparently I must have flubbed it or something.
Oh, by the way, I love the comment section. Okay, first of all, the U.S. government launched a missile at Jupiter as a false flag attack to enlist their help in attacking Neptune. Wake up, sheeples.
I didn't see that one.
Okay, I shared this one because it's the first thing I thought of when I was watching the video. Mm-hmm. I think Jupiter just pooted. okay, Donald Trump. We need a wall between us and Jupiter. And hashtag pray for Jupiter.
Pray for Jupiter. It got hit. Pray for Jupiter, everybody.
It is pretty amazing that it was done with an amateur telescope.
Mhm.
And actually, one of the more serious questions was, how big an impact is it? Because I think you already said that.
Yeah.
Given the size of Jupiter, what if that, hit Earth? But then again, that's a gas planet, and we're primarily a rock planet, so it would be different depending on where it hit.
Oh,
But,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, and we have this thing called atmosphere and the radiation belt and the whole 9 yards. When asteroids come and hit us, usually, I mean, depending on the size of them, they have a tendency to burn up for the most part. I mean, some of them make it through, and they do cause problems. And we have had recorded video of this just, within the last 10 years, actually.
Oh, goodness, our comment section. Godless Geezer. Does this mean Jupiter is a bottom? No, that's Uranus.
Oh, no! Dawkins says, it's not a choice! Actually, in the video, it's hit near the top, right in the, almost at the at center pole, or at the equator, so just above the equator. So it's the top.
It just amateur astronomers and everything for the win. This was pretty awesome.
Absolutely. One great comment here from the real Paul Marsh is like, I like big planets and I cannot lie. I had to sing that. I had to sing that.
Oh, yes. Yes.
How long have you had these droids?
About 3 or 4 seasons.
They're up for sale if you want them.
Let me see your identification.
You don't need to see his identification.
We don't need to see his identification.
These aren't the droids you're looking for.
These aren't the droids we're looking for.
With today's technology, we have these things called smartphones. I mean, I've got one. I've had several, actually. And now they're getting smarter and smarter. And if you've ever seen The Simpsons, they do this one where the smartphone, or maybe it was Futurama, I forget which, but they had the smartphones taking control of the whole planet and everything like that. But in a way, they kind of are, because you can do so many new things with them. And something that I have never thought of myself, or I have no idea why somebody else would do this, but some of it come up with an item that can control your smartphone. It's not your lights. It's not the heating system, which I can do. I can actually control my heating system with my phone, which is kind of cool. This particular thing, it comes out of China. It's it's actually a rice cooker that you can control with your smartphone. It costs $150. They launched this back in February, apparently, and it can cook up to 200 different brands of rice. I have a microwave. It cost me like $50, $50, $60 a couple of years ago.
Blasphemy.
Yeah, and I've got a bowl. I put rice in that, a little bit of water, 5 minutes, done.
Go ahead.
Why do I need to have a rice cooker?
Because this is the perfect food. Oh my God. I love me some steamed rice.
It says the users can scan their package of rice to identify the type of rice, brand, and origin based on that. And the cooker can adjust its heating methodology to best suit the type of rice. It currently supports more than 200 brands of rice, as I mentioned, and will be expanded in the future. To do what? What are you going to expand it to? What are you going to have it cooked next?
My God! Yes! Oh, 1,000 times yes!
Apparently now apparently this cooker can also be set to make cakes, among other things. I mean, I have a pizzazz. I mean, it's not a high piece of technology. A few years ago, maybe it was, but I mean, it's kind of like a pizza oven, and that's open. You don't have to heat up a whole oven for 20 minutes and then put the pizza in and be done with it. then you waste a lot of energy. The pizza cooker, it takes a lot less energy, but it still does a good
I
job.
might have to stop talking to you. Oh my God.
I have a lot of gadgets.
Yeah, but do you have a rice cooker?
I don't have a rice cooker, but
there's your problem. That's your problem.
Well, there's your problem.
Don't have a rice cooker. Oh my God.
One that costs $150, apparently.
Well, I don't know about $150.
See, the thing is, though, with my pizzazz, I have cooked things like cookies and grilled cheese and things like that. I've cooked meat on the damn thing, but the thing is, for me, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. Do you have any additional thoughts on that, Connie?
Well, probably more than we have for tonight. No, well, China's competing with Japan, first of all, who corners the market on these things, because this is about, washing your rice, rinsing it, putting it in the cooker, setting in a thing, and forgetting it. It's kind of like the crock pot, you know. And honestly, there is nothing better than a beautifully steamed bowl of rice, with some soy sauce and some stuff on it. But I wax poetic about it. The thing that this one has to offer, though, it's an induction cooker. So the insert pot that you actually cook the rice in is cast iron, but it's powder coated with neoflon. There, I read it right. A coating, which is a nonstick coating.
Okay.
And induction cooking means that you need the cast iron to work it. And I'm not going to tell anybody more about that, but that's basically like your induction top cookers where you have to have a cast iron skillet or something like that.
Yeah.
And it cooks it faster. Now, the fact that you can adjust it by the different kinds of rice, because there's a ton of different kinds of rice. And if you like your rice soft and kind of not soupy, but more moist, like I do, because we're going to eat it the next day or do something with it. Yeah, this thing will know what to do. I'm like, that's really awesome. And China's trying to rise above the whole made in China label thing that they've got going. Because this company wants their smartphones and their apps and their appliances to be seen as something that's really, really good, and not just like, oh, it's made in China, it's cheap, you can throw it away.
Right.
And they're addressing that. They're saying, well, we don't want that anymore. So, I guess capitalism for the win. So I love rice. It's like it's instead of potatoes around my house, that's what we have. Most nights of the week.
Rice is a good substitute for potatoes. I'll grant you that. You could put cheese. There's a lot of different ways you can put cheese and rice, and I make this rice dish every once in a while. If I don't have any meat in the house, I'll just put rice and a few other things in there, and blah, 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 I'm good to go. But it takes me 5 minutes. At least for the rice anyway.
Exactly. No, so this is actually pretty. It is still expensive. There's no way that I could afford this rice cooker right now. But I love that I love the innovation of it, and I read it and I'm like, oh gosh, that's really cool. Maybe I should figure out how to send photos on my phone though first before I program my rice cooker. So. Anyway.
Yeah, you need to be able to know how to control your phone before you can actually, you can actually control other things with your phone.
Yeah. Damn it, Janet. I love you. All right.
Maybe if they make a pizzazz that's controlled with my phone, I might buy that.
Do I even want to know what that is?
A pizzazz?
Yes.
Never
mind.
It's an open air pizza cooker.
Okay. Phew.
What did you think it was?
Well, I don't know. Given most of our conversations,
I know I do own a lot of weird shit. Dawkins says he thought it was. Dawkins thought he says I thought it was a male vajazzle.
Thank you, Dawkins. You know me. Thank you. You love me. You really, really love me. So, Yes.
Contact us by email at ppappodcast@gmail.com or on Twitter as at PackardPokesat. Like us on Facebook.com/PackardPokesat. Call our Google Voice and leave a message at 662-709-PPAP or 662-709-7727, and we will respond to it on the show. Friday nights at 9 p.m. Central Time. Join us live at vonlive.tv/PackardPokesat. During the show, you can share your thoughts with us by calling 857-216-3200 using PIN number 35368 or on uberconference.com/PackardPokesat. For links to the stories, visit our show page at packardpokesat.wordpress.com. You can help support the show by purchasing merchandise from cafepress.com/PackardPokesat or make a donation to the show at patreon.com/PackardPokesat. If you can't afford any money, why not share the show with your friends and rate us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Spreaker, and on YouTube. For everyone that shares and rates us, you kick ass!
I'd also like to take a moment to remind everybody we did start a second podcast. It's called The Atheist, the Bible, and No Wardrobe. That's over at abandnw.wordpress.com. You can find us also on Facebook at facebook.com/abandnw, and our Twitter is ABANW podcast. Word salad. I apologize.
You know what? That should be. You should have just had word salad be.
Yeah, I should just have I should just name the show Word Salad.
Exactly. Oh, damn it. All right.
Apparently, I don't know how to work WordPress that well because I screwed up a couple things on there. So you got 2 episodes today. So happy April 1st. Next week it should be straightened out by next week, hopefully. So go ahead, give the podcast a check out. It's on iTunes, Stitcher, and Spreaker.
What if there's a really bad, crummy guy who's going to jail, but I know he's innocent?
Well, Bart, your Uncle Arthur used to have a saying, shoot 'em all and let God sort 'em out. Unfortunately, one day he put his theory into practice. It took 75 federal marshals to bring him down. Now let's never speak of him again.
You know, there is a lot of violence with guns in this country, and sometimes it spills over into places where we won't expect them. We find them in our offices, playgrounds, and sometimes even in the churches. And Mississippi has decided to up the ante a little bit by moving armed guards in the churches. And the thing here is that they don't just want to have armed guards in there. They want to have a Special Protection Act, which basically says that if a security guard designated by the church has to kill somebody because of whatever reason, they get a free pass. They no charges on them whatsoever. The bill's supporters said the measure could supposedly help prevent attacks similar to the one that happened in 2015 in Charleston, South Carolina. That left 9 members dead. Now, I've been doing some research on this. On average, per year, it's about 52 shootings per year. So that's about 1 a week. Now, compare that to office violence, which is in the millions every year. So to say these churches need to have gun nuts roaming around inside their churches, ready to take somebody out just because reasons, I mean, that gives me nothing but the willies. I mean, what does it also say about their imaginary sky wizard? This screams to me that they don't think that their God is very capable of taking care of them, even in his house. Connie, your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know. There's so many ways that I'm thinking about this. What's next? Metal detectors? Is that what they really want? No.
Yeah.
They're asking, that's not what they're asking for. They're asking for the ability to arm themselves. And what I found was really interesting is that in Mississippi, Mississippi has some of the worst records, for gun violence per capita. And the only thing that really was standing in the way of them, like, just out and out murdering each other, I guess, was, concealed carry permits. It's just crazy. And what I found interesting too was the senators from Mississippi, and maybe this isn't, I'm not trying to say it's a race thing, but nearly every senator who was saying that we don't need this law was black.
Right.
And they're trying to say, guess what? What did Jesus say about, they were talking about Peter. There was a senator who actually got up and he had a sword, and he talked about the disciple who cut off an ear of a guard.
Yeah.
With a sword. And he said, just don't make the church your little, I would say, whipping boy, but don't make this your reason why you want to change the concealed carry laws. And I thought that was really, really bold and awesome of these senators to say, look, don't make the church the reason. You're thinly veiled. We just don't think anybody should have any reason to restrain why they carry a gun. But I loved how I say love with air quotes.
Yeah.
The NRA praised the legislature for defying the gun control activists. And the fact is this law, is one of the very few restrictions. In Mississippi, a felon can actually apply to get a gun.
Yep.
And I don't think that our legal system is perfect, but at the same time, it's like, really?
Yeah, we had some interesting comments from the chat room, and they hit right on the spot here. Godless Jesus said, Jesus wanted you to turn the other cheek so you can get better aim with your AK-47. And the real Paul Marshall, thank you everybody for their comments. It says, crossfire in the church? Why, is that a good idea? And yeah, I have the same question. How do we know, just because the church says, well, this guy has a shoot, is okay for this, all right, here's what it breaks down to. The person who's carrying the gun has to take a course, unless they are a past military personnel or whatever. So if they've had experience teaching or dealing with guns, they can teach somebody else in the church to handle a gun. I could just see this going horribly wrong. Somebody comes up and, they're going to, let's just say I go to church and I say, because I'm me, and I start saying, hey, why about this? Why not about this? And someone says, you know what? Take them out, boys. Choom. They all they have to do is just get everybody to say justified shooting. How often are the cops said that they take somebody out, somebody's not even fucking armed, and the cops get away with it. And these people want to be able to get away with justifiable homicide in their place of worship because whatever reason.
Yeah. Well, and again, it's trying to victimize themselves is what it feels like.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine why churches should need to arm themselves, and especially since it appears to be more of a race issue.
Yeah.
at this point. God, this is so stupid. They just want to pack, and they don't want to have to apologize to it or for it.
Yeah.
God, this is crazy. I can't even imagine why somebody would want to walk into church with a gun.
I can't imagine either. I mean, I can't imagine why anybody would want to walk into a workplace with a gun. I mean, yeah, people get pissed off.
Yes, exactly.
People get pissed off. I mean, we had that thing about a few years ago going postal and everything like that. But
that's actually the place where most people are at danger because we have people with grudges.
Yeah. Because, because their boss is a real dick or whatever, and they felt slighted. But you know what? They usually, because they got fired or whatever, or they're being harassed at work, and those instances take place. Connie and I were kind of joking about this at the staff meeting there, about the pastor diddling their kid possibly, or the pastor's diddling somebody's wife.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's actually more the reason that somebody would bring a gun into church. If there's any church violence, I would be willing to bet dollars to donuts and I don't like donuts that much, but that it actually has more to do with the fact that the pastor is having an affair with somebody's wife.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with Jesus. It has nothing to do with religion. It has everything to do with the primal instincts that we all experience.
Well, there was that one incident that happened here in my state down in Milwaukee where the Sikh temple was hit by a guy who was part of the KKK, or he was just some kind of racist bullshit, because the GOP has got everybody in the fucking tizzy over, people from another country, Muslims or whatever. Trump, yeah. And this guy went over there and he shot some Sikh followers.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was religiously motivated, but it certainly was bigot. It was a bigot hate speech version of hate speech, just with bullets. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Mississippi.
Yeah, thank you, Mississippi, for being stupid and wanting to put a gun in your church and then say nobody should take responsibility if they shoot somebody. That's brilliant.
That's really brilliant. Thank you so much.
Yeah, one last comment here from the chat room. Godless Geezer, packing heat makes the difference between having revenge fantasy and making the evening news. Oh yeah, you can have all the revenge fantasies you want. You can have all the murder spree fantasies you want, as long as you don't act on them. Hey, hell ball,
Famous and infamous. Yes.
Yes.
Button.
Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy? Caught in a landslide, no escape from reality.
Over in Brussels, there was a terrorist attack. If you've been familiar with the news, there were some bombers over there that they took out several places, and it was a tragedy. Several people had died. I think a couple of people were from the United States that also were involved in this as well.
Yeah.
And Michelle Bachmann, why she has anything to say on anything and why anybody's listening to this crazy-ass bitch, seems to think that God was punishing Obama with the Brussels terrorist attacks. That's like saying, okay, Connie, you've pissed me off. I'm going to go beat up my neighbor's dog, and I'm going to kill my neighbor's dog because you pissed me off.
Wait.
What is that? Why? Why? That doesn't make any sense.
Me either.
It doesn't make that. I know. Why would anybody do that? Why would an imaginary sky wizard say, okay, you've really pissed me off, so I'm going to go over here and pull some shit. I'm going to send some people to blow shit up over in a country that has nothing to do with us directly. I mean,
I checked. You don't have crazy eyes like her. Why would you do that? Oh. I'm too much in the moment. Never mind. Be a snowflake. Be a special snowflake. Okay, I'm fine now.
Now, this is what she says. She says, maybe our president's humiliation comes in a manner so devastating that it makes one wonder whether the creator of humankind isn't reminding this world of inferiority, of foolishness in the face of wisdom. I have no idea what that even fucking means.
You have to be on her special meds.
Someone's got to hand me a drink. I need some booze. I need a lot of booze to understand this one. Then she goes on to say the president once again mocked his nemesis, the Jewish people, and the nations of Israel. President Obama, you got to stop mocking the Israelites. What the fuck is she talking about? And by cleverly turning the international press corps toward his brilliant work in Cuba, instead of covering ongoing Islamic attacks in the Jewish state, as outlined that the very same day the pro-Israel AIPAC, or AIPAC, meeting in Washington, D.C. History changed in less than 24 hours later in a blink of an eye, and the rug was pulled out from under his well-laid plans. Obama's slavish. Oh, interesting choice of words there, bitch.
Turn of phrase.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I know, right? Obama's slavish press corps was forced to turn their critical gaze from adoring him to reveal the newest campaign in Brussels. Our eyes were spellbound. My God, I'm just the stupid. It burns. It burns. It burns.
Oh yeah.
Your thoughts, Connie?
Oh, I thought one of the more ironic things is she called Obama feckless, and I was like, really? Okay, well, you obviously don't use a mirror because you got crazy eyes. And, I really hate how she's dissing Obama, normalizing the relations with Cuba, which, guess what? Back in the early 60s, we nearly went to war with them. We nearly launched missiles on them. So normalizing relations with a country that's 50 years ago we nearly had a nuke fight with is trivial.
Mm-hmm.
You're awesome. You're awesome.
Yeah, these people they masturbate to the idea of the end of the world. Apocalypse. Oh yeah, God.
Well, and she hates how she says something about he's peddling the dangerous fantasy of multicultural diversity, globalization, and one world nonsense. Now, I don't know about one world, because I don't think one world will ever happen, because we're human beings and we're shit. We have our little factions and all our little ideas. I don't think that's ever going to actually happen, that everybody is under one big umbrella. Unless the umbrella allows for some diversity, right?
Yeah.
But she's mocking things like multicultural diversity. I'm like, where's your brown shirt?
Yeah.
All right. Let's just pull the Hitler card. Where's your brown shirt? Because you are just an ugly, awful person. And why? I don't know. The fact that this is WorldNet Daily, which I'll just put a disclaimer out there. Back when I was still a Christian, I thought WorldNet Daily was really relevant and salient. And I look at it now and I'm going, oh my God.
Yeah, as soon as someone says they've referenced WorldNet Daily as a possible real source, I question their sanity. We had some comments from the chat room. The real Paul Marshall, thank you for your comments. Says, dude's got really bad aim. Got to allow for the windage. I keep telling him, just won't listen.
Yeah.
Maybe, you know what? He forgot to factor in the time difference. That's what, and the fact that the planet is spinning. He was actually aiming for New York again, but he got distracted by a bird or something. He's like, what? Oh, cat video. Whoops. I hit the wrong country. Oh, well. Of course, then there's the Republicans out there who'll say, if he had gone to this meeting, the APAC or whatever the thing was, and it had happened, they would have said, well, he shouldn't have been there because he was there. That's why they attacked. Any excuse. It doesn't matter if he had been there or not. They would have said, well, this happened because of God or whatever reason. They don't really care. It's always political with these fuckers.
Yeah. Or Godless Geezer. They need stuck up on Jim Baker's food buckets because mashed potatoes and macaroni and cheese are going to get us through the apocalypse.
Yeah. If you like sawdust, Could
it be?
Sometimes when we find things in our food, we see faces. I'm not saying we find like animals in our food, which is kind of gross,
or a hair,
or icky shit like that. That's kind of gross. We have this thing in our brains. We are pattern-seeking animals, and there's a thing called pareidolia. We can kind of see patterns in objects. There was the grilled cheese that got sold for I don't know a couple $1,000, $1 million, whatever it was. It had Jesus in it because Jesus is talking to us through food. And there was this woman, I remember a few years ago, she went on, I think it was Johnny Carson. She had like a little piece of Cheeto that looked like it was prayed.
Potato chip.
It was a potato chip, or whatever. I remember, as I recall, he had a bag of chips next to him. And it was Carson. He goes, he ate a chip, and the lady's like, oh my God, you didn't? He's like, no, I just got what's over here. She freaked the fuck out.
A heart attack.
Yeah, I love that. That was...
That was very funny.
So, for people who do not know who Johnny Carson is, I feel really bad for you. You missed some good comedy back then. But anyway,
actually, and that's a perfect April Fool's date.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Joke. Yeah.
But over in Mexico, there was a cut of beef. Looks like Satan is in it, and it kind of does. The picture, it looks kind of like the devil's inside the beefsteak.
Not sexual in any way.
No, not sexual anyway. It's just a piece of steak, and it looks like it's got little horns and little eyes and a little nose, maybe, and the little goat legs or whatever. Since Jesus is obviously making an appearance, Satan's got to make his appearance too. Hey, I'm real, people. I'm just as real as God is, but I'm showing up in beef. I tell you, to be honest, if I were to have to choose between a cheese sandwich and some beef, I'm taking the beef. I'm just saying.
Where's the beef?
Where's the beef? That's the reason why there's that quote exists. Your thoughts, Connie?
He's well marbled and aged to perfection. On the article page on the HuffPo, they have an image of Satan, and I'm looking at that and I'm like, it looks like this image of Satan has a huge molten erection. I don't really try to find this shit.
Oh God, you're right. It does. He looks like he's got a big. He's like, hey everybody, look at this thing I'm swinging. Jump on, ladies or guys. I guess I don't know.
Comments in the comment section. Put a steak on the record and play it backwards. What does it say? Another one says, a sign you should be vegan.
Oh, no.
Another person said, I saw a picture of Jesus the other day, and I swore I saw a grilled cheese sandwich. Oh, my goodness. He's smiling and waving on the steak. It's really cute, He's like,
hi.
He's
not being all evil and nasty. He's just like, hi,
like,
how you doing?
I just want somebody to notice me. That's all I ever wanted. God doesn't love me anymore.
God just never loved me. I just kicked me out of the house before I turned 18. What a bastard.
But he made me his full guy.
Godless Geezer from the chat room, thank you for your comments. He says, I saw an image of baby Jesus on my hamburger. I ate it with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
Chianti. Yes.
That's so fucking awesome.
Yes. Thank you.
It's the Onion Radio News.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't.
There's a lot of people you make friends with on Facebook. Sometimes you know them, sometimes you don't. Because, this is the way Facebook connects people. It's like, oh, I like this guy's post, so I'm going to try to friend him and be friends with him, whatever. But that's fine. But once you're friends with them, there are good reasons why you should unfriend somebody. Because you find out that their politics are completely opposite of yours, like they support Trump. Or they're just fucking batshit fucking crazy. Apparently this guy, his name is Riley Smith. He held up a Subway sandwich store in New Brunswick. Thank you. I apologize. I was thinking of another story.
Right.
Back in November of 2014. This is up in Canada. Apparently the employee was threatened at knife point. Was actually a friend of this guy on Facebook. Shortly after he had robbed this place, he unfriended him from Facebook. That's not suspicious at all. Apparently, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police matched his DNA to a sample that was taken from a bandana found that it got dumped in the restaurant's parking lot. I'm just going to say this right now. If you're going to rob someplace, whatever you take with you, like it's just like when you go camping. Whatever you take with you, you take back out with you.
Pack it in, pack it out.
Pack it in, pack it out. Right.
Yep.
So, do not leave things behind. No, leave footprints. No DNA. Nothing. You don't leave anything behind. I knew this guy. I heard this through a family member that a guy had attacked a soda machine, broke it up or whatever, and he left his wallet there. Yeah, not suspicious at all. Who do you think they came looking for? Connie, your thoughts?
Give a man a gun, he could rob a bank. Give him a bank, he can rob the world.
Yes.
Yeah, evidently, I followed the mounted police. I'm just all I can think of is the old cartoon, but evidently there were 2 robberies that this guy was suspected about in November and January. And I don't know. I guess I'm just a little bit curious about the whole unfriending thing, and if there were really 2 robberies, I don't know.
It's kind of weird. I mean, why would you do that? You're friends with these people on Facebook, and you know then you rob them.
Rob me once, shame on me. Rob me twice, shame on you. I mean, the second one, I think, is the one that the friend actually said, "Yeah, that's not no." You know, and guess what? This is in Canada, so unfriending the person who actually the friend who actually worked at Subway was the tip-off. So, you know, they're friendly up in Canada. Just don't unfriend them. That's a big tip-off.
Yeah, that's a big tip-off in Canada. It's like, are you unfriending me? That's very odd. Why would you unfriend me? Dude, I think this guy was the guy that robbed me.
Bacon together, man. we
did the hockey.
I let you run the Zamboni. Okay, that's you know, I'd be worried about it, but they're so polite. No. Anyway, I actually do apologize if that offended any Canadians. So.
Godless Geezer from the chat room, thank you for your comments. He says, it may be an urban legend, but there was a story of a news many years ago about a full bank robbery. The teller, seeing that he wasn't too bright, told the man that he wasn't allowed to rob the bank if he didn't have an account, and he left. I don't know. That sounds too fantastical, but I think I remember hearing this one myself a number of years ago. So you can't rob this bank. You don't have an account here. Oh, okay. All right. See ya. Who would fall for that? I mean...
Did you say sorry?
He probably probably did. I was like, I can't rob the bank if I don't have an account here. Right. That you know, apparently, whatever.
You say I'm always talking. Yeah, whatever you say.
We had some comments, or we had one comment from our last show, and it was from Herc Grants. Thank you, Herc Grants, for your comment. He says, don't forget Leap of Faith, the Steve Martin movie where he played a preacher/con man. If you had a chance to listen to the last week's show, we were talking about faith, healing, and things like that, and how it fails and everything like that. And Connie was trying to remember a person from a show, comments that kind of went along with what we were talking about. And and it turns out Herc Grant nailed it right on the bat. He said it was Leap of Faith. When he asked me about this, or put it on the page here, I remember hearing about this movie. I don't remember if I actually saw it. So I don't know. I'd have to look. I'd have to find the movie and watch it to say, oh, yeah, I have seen this. I mean, I've seen a lot of movies in my time. I can't remember all of them, you know, so.
I'd highly recommend watching it because it does point out, it's like for example, the thing I thought about when I watched it was Peter Popoff.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so that was really awesome. The other movie I was thinking about, but I didn't share, which
was Fletch Lives. That was Fletch Lives 2, or whatever. That was the one where the Peter Popoff reference.
But the Steve Martin movie, that actually
was that based on that
mirrors
too?
That whole story very much because he's a charlatan.
Oh, okay.
So, and I was going to say that there's been a few horror movies that have played on this thing, but again, they try to make it sound like something is actually real, so I'm not gonna give them any credence. They're fun to watch, but that's all it is. So.
Yeah.
The Steve Martin movie Leap of Faith is that's an awesome reference. So.
It's something I'm definitely gonna have to look up and try to find at some point. Yeah. Alrighty. Well, we got to get out of here. I want to thank everybody for coming, and once again, please visit our second podcast. It's on Stitcher, Spreaker, and on iTunes. It's The Atheist, the Bible, and No Wardrobe. And the show address is at abandnw.wordpress.com. And like us on Facebook over there at facebook.com, abandnw. And if you really like that show and you want to donate to that show, I won't stop you. We have a Patreon set up for that one. That's ABANDNW as well at patreon.com. And we have a Twitter, ABNW Podcast. I tried to get that one for all of them. I just couldn't. It just wouldn't take. So anyway, all right. I want to thank everybody for coming and our wonderful chatters in the chat room. And we'll see you next week. This has been Packard Pokes That. We just poked at your news.
And that's a wrap.